Bill.
Oh, is he coming? I have a different screen on my laptop at the moment. Okay, well, just give me a second or two for me to get this up and running. Oh, well, we can see the ceiling. There we go, Bill. You're
Hi,
on
Bill.
mute. Bill, you're on mute. Sometimes if you just hit the space bar, there you go. You got it.
Am I there?
You are here. Okay, so you have a quorum. Are you walking away or are you? Oh, he's going for the more comfy chair, I guess.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I just got off from a Zoom meeting too. So,
You're a wanted person.
yeah, I'm wanted, all right.
Okay.
Okay, how's everybody doing? And what time is it right now?
It is 7:02. And currently you have 4 of your 5 members present. You have Patrick Kinane, Bill Ryan, Mike Folcarelli, Donald Medeiros, and absent is Joe Mayato.
Okay. So the time is 7:03. The meeting will open.
Sounds good.
Donnie, do you have the agenda with you? Would somebody like to read the agenda? I don't have it on my hand.
Sure. So the first item is correspondence, if any. I'm not aware of any.
No.
The second item is approval of the minutes from February 16th.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of February 16th.
Wait, who said that?
It was Mike Folcarelli.
Thank you.
Don
Is there-
Medeiros,
Is there a second?
Don Medeiros, second.
Okay,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye. Pat Kinane, aye.
Michael Folcarelli, aye.
Don Medeiros, aye.
Bill Ryan, aye.
Okay.
Motion carried.
All right, now, the next item is bills, but maybe we could take it out of order and go to Chief Petrin, who I believe is waiting online for us.
Okay,
I am done. Thank you.
So the agenda item involving Chief Petrin is discuss possible installation of a dry fire hydrant at the beach. I think I can just give a little background. I think the commission members know this. We had already voted on this probably 2 years ago, I think, when the chief first came to us. So we voted. We thought it was a good idea to go forward, but everybody was busy with other things, so we're just circling back to it. I met with Chief Petrin at the beach last Tuesday to look at the site. It's basically right at the existing drafting access that he's been using. That area gets a lot of erosion, got a lot of it this winter, so it does need some work. But as far as if the commission thinks this is a good idea to proceed, and as I told the chief, Able Engineering would basically do the surveying, the plan, the permitting, and go to the council meeting with the chief pro bono. A council meeting will be required because this is installation of a facility in the buffers, in a Tunipers buffer zone. So it does require a variance. I believe it requires a variance from the council. So it just means basically a meeting at night in Providence or Wakefield. But that's all I have. I don't know if commission members want to come in or if Chief Petrin has comments.
No, I'd just like to thank you for helping me getting that installed. That's a real important location for us. It's probably going to be the best pond we have in town to access water, especially the southern end. In that area, we don't have much to draw water. Our closest one is Shore Road, and that dries up pretty quick in the summer. So that's a real important hydrant for us. The only thing I think we have to add to that, Don, is I believe we have to do a water use agreement with the town. I don't know how that works between the beach commission and the town. I'm not quite sure, but just to put it on file.
Okay. Yeah, if you can, when we get to that point, Chief, if you can, produce that agreement, we can put it before the commission.
It's a boilerplate agreement we have with all the hydrants in town, so.
Okay. And Chief, am I correct that you said last year when we were in the middle of that really nasty drought by the fall, this was only one of 2 sites in town that you actually could draft water from?
Right, we had Juniper and we had the hydrant that is just south of Swamp Road on West Main, but I could see the strainer at the bottom of that, so that wouldn't have gone too much longer. But Juniper is really a good spot for us.
Good. All right, so I don't think we necessarily need to vote because I believe we already did.
Yeah.
So I guess, should we just, resolve to proceed with getting the engineering and permitting underway so that we can then deliver to the chief to go to CRMC to get hopefully approval.
Is that a motion, Donnie? I'll second it.
Yeah, that was a motion. Thank you.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Patrick Canane, aye.
Mike Fogarelli, aye.
Don Maderas, aye.
Bill Ryan, aye.
Okay, and Cindy, for the record, it was Don Maderas made the motion and Mike Fogarelli second,
Thank you.
and it was unanimous.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you all for your
Thank
time.
you.
on this. Really appreciate it.
yep, thank you, chief.
Have a good night.
You too.
You too. So I guess the next agenda item, Bill, would be the bills.
Does
Are
Jim
there
have
any-
any?
Again, you guys should have received, I emailed you all the bills that we did pay. One that we did have to talk about a little bit was the phone bill. There's been a little bit of a snafu there. We got, I guess, under our account, they paid the fire department phone bill. So we had a $200 and something credit last month. It still has not been straightened out. So, right now we got a credit and poor Chief Petron is
Mr.
stuck on the short end.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind,
No, go ahead, chief.
Jim, we touched base yesterday with the finance director and the lead for AT&T. So that should be, she needed a little bit of information on an account number. So I would say by the end of the week, that'll all be squared away.
Okay, great. And so
And I apologize for that. In the last couple of days, I had dropped the ball and Joe reminded me of it. And so it should be squared away this week.
well, we're the ones that got the credit out of the deal, so we're doing great on this end. Yeah, so in other words, there probably will be a phone bill showing up. There'll be more than normal, just because we got the credit. It's been coming out of the fire department check base.
Okay.
The other bills that were in were for the Wilkie, for the excavating, opening up the creek. $10 back to me for registering the trailer. And $1,200 for the initial order of uniform for the beach.
Do I have an emotion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve, Michael Fogarelli, I'm making a motion that we approve the bills.
Do I have a
Patrick Canane,
second?
second. Patrick Canane, second.
All in favor?
Patrick Canane, aye.
Michael Fogarelli, aye.
Don Maderas, aye.
Bill Ryan, aye.
Okay, another thing that was included with the bills was paying Carol. So that was also included. We approved that at the last meeting.
Yep.
But again, like, if you guys did not get a copy of that. So I guess if we do direct payment, $25.
Thank you, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carl.
I don't know whether at this point in time you want to talk about the estimate given from Shapiro Carpentry on doing the work at the beach and the buildings down there. Sent you guys all copies of that. Basically gave 3 separate estimates. First one was for 310 for doing base repairs on the front shack. Second one was on the Goose Wing shack, basically weatherproofing it better. This one, I think I want to talk to them a little further because the floor needs to be replaced in that shack. So it's probably going to be more than this, but 320 there. And then the last one was about the changing rooms. Basically, he sent in an estimate for 2360, looking at doing individual changing rooms. We have 8 right now, so I mean that'd be 2360 times 8. Didn't know whether we wanted to do it where it was or spread it out over the beach, that sort of thing. So it's something else to talk about.
Well, with that, Jim, Bill Ryan, with that, Jim, I think it should all stay together, really. Do you think that's more convenient?
I think keeping it centrally located is definitely more convenient. Again, we still have, I realize they're going to be doing some improvements to the lot and stuff like that, but we still have erosion issues, other areas, stuff like that. And that
Yep.
area is a little bit more stable than most of the other areas on the backside of the beach.
So, the Goose Wing Shack, did you mention to me on the floor?
I'm
Was
not sure. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I want to get together with him sometime and go out there and maybe get another quote, including the floor. But the floor, we're going to go through it at some point in time here. It's not in very good shape.
Okay,
And I also think that the floor is the source of most of our critter invasion in that building is through the holes in the floor. So
yeah, we could, if we put a new floor in that, we can lay down rat wire and then put the floor on it.
Yep.
That would help a great deal on that. All right, I told him just to give me rough estimates on that. And then, because I just received them.
Yep.
Yesterday. He sent them Sunday, but I didn't recall it. I didn't get it. So would you like to talk to him, Jim?
Sure, then that'd be great. I could sit down, maybe meet him down there one day and go over with the Goose Wing Shack. Again, the big thing with you guys is what we want to do with the changing rooms that are in the center of the beach. Do we want to do this, go with individual changing rooms, and stuff like that are maybe all put together like he's proposing here? Or, do we want to fix what's there or what do we want to do? I personally think that except for the pad, the concrete and stuff like that starting to dissolve on that changing room, most of the wood is rotting out. So it does need major work at this point. But exactly what we want to do with that is the big question. Now, Bill has suggested we try to do something that could be taken off the beach at the end of the season. So I think that's where the individual units came in.
Right. But we take those, what the heck are they called? With the storage, where we keep the storage?
Yep.
You mean do a building around that size so we can take it off the beach? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, no, I think what he's suggesting here is like individual small, like units that are the size of the porta-johns, that can be removed.
How do you feel about that?
My only thoughts there are, the vandalism hasn't been bad, especially last year. But I think if there's anything that's movable, we go through issues with the porta-johns every year. I think if we had changing rooms that were easily flipped over and stuff like that, we might have issues there. So depending on how we build,
How about, just a suggestion, how about if we did a wooden building on that slab and we take it out?
that could be also. And again, just thinking about how to build it so it's not so heavy, it's going to be a monster to move. And again, every time you move a building like that, it loosens up.
What about,
Yeah.
Could we ever shrink wrap it like a boat?
That's not a bad idea, because one of the biggest problems during the winter is the changing rooms tend to get used a lot for trash receptacles and receptacles of other things I won't mention. Maybe shrink wrapping it might help help it survive the winter better and not end up with so much trash in it and going from there. That's a good idea, Mike. I think.
I had a question about, so the resiliency money that we get, we're gonna put towards the repair of the parking lot. Is that correct?
From the grant,
From the grant?
yes, and I have been told that I guess that was approved, Donnie, the grant thing
Uh,
there.
Carol would know better, I think.
So that was
Yes, it was.
approved. That was
It was.
approved. So what my question is that the money that we have in the kitty from the revenue last year could go to the changing rooms, correct? I mean, we kind of have some found money.
We
because-
do have a line item on the budget warrant that is asking for $25,000 for building maintenance and that sort of thing.
Will that cover the construction?
If we're looking at, I mean, basically 2,300, I mean, you're looking at like 18,000 for the changing rooms, if he does 8 individual rooms like that. And then 300 for the front shack. I think the Goose Wing repairs are probably gonna be around 2,000, so yeah, it'll come under the 25,000.
Okay.
Well, why don't you, Jim, contact him again? When did you receive the bids?
I got them by email 2 days ago, I think it was.
Okay, because I ran into him a couple times.
Yeah, if I can grab his phone number from you, I'll try to touch base with him, so.
You do have his phone number?
I do not have his phone number now.
Oh, I got one here. It's 864-9908.
Thank you, sir. I'll give him a call tomorrow.
Yeah, and see what, your suggestions there, and then we'll come back to the committee and run over those again.
Yeah, and again, I think a little bit more definition of what he's planning on with individual buildings,
Okay,
something that fits on that pad or something that, something that looks like a porta john with runners on it, what are we talking about there?
because the other thought is I know they must make changing rooms with the same material that they make the porta johns with. That could be taken off too. I don't know where you'd find those, but that's
Yeah.
another option, that's all.
Possibilities. Again, not a big fan of porta johns, but
No, I'm not either, but
plastic, and I don't know. Again, we can look into what's going on there. I do personally think something wood or solid would look.
okay. So why don't you give him a call and then come back to us with what your ideas are and what his are, and we go from there. Because we gotta get it moving, right?
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. All right, Bill, the next item is discuss submitting creek buffer zone management plan to CRMC. We talked about a little bit about this at prior meetings. This stems from the 10-year permit renewal that we received from CRMC for the parking lot maintenance, 10-year permit. In it, they had a lot of restrictions they were placing on the buffer zone adjacent to the creek. And I think these, I'd like to know what the commission thinks, but I think the area adjacent to the creek, we've been using for quite some time as part of our operations. I mean, we use it for handicap parking. We use it to stage the patrol and the rescues on Goose Wing. We use it to stage the breaching of tunipers. We allow TNC to use it for staging breaching of quicksand. I always see people there with very young children. That's a place for the kids to swim in the creek, and they're not out in the waves and the surf. We use that area for the charitable organizations, like Surf Camp and other community-based groups. So I think we might want to talk to CRMC about letting them know how we're using those areas and why that areas and those uses are important to us.
Donnie, I think the first issue that we've got is CRMC doesn't recognize our ownership to do anything with that piece of property. And I think maybe the first thing we need to do is to get TNC to waive their rights there and turn them over to us so that we can get things done there. Or waive what they think is their rights. I realize that if we pushed it, we've maintained that for the last 50 years. But right now, as far as CRMC is concerned, and all their documents that come back are basically shutting us down, saying that we don't own the property, that they can't issue a permit based on something we put in on property that we supposedly don't control.
That's a good point, Jim. Yet they seem to be CRMC seems to be may probably inadvertently, but it seems like they're trying to play it both ways because in one sense, like you said, they're telling us they can't give us permission to do anything there. However, they just gave us a 10-year permit and they told us things we need to do there, such as install buffer zone markers and things like that. So I think you're right. I think we need to dig into this a little deeper and try to get resolution because we seem to be having this chicken and the egg type situation.
Don, do you happen to have an assessor's plat map in front of you where you can state the plat and lot number that you're talking about? Cheryl Katie is an attendee and she's wondering which lot at the beach that you're referring to.
I have it upstairs. If you want to wait a minute, I can grab it.
How about this? When you're doing that?
I think I'm just.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, again, I basically think that's the root of all our problems there.
I agree, Jim.
That if we can get, and it gains TNC no advantage, we've been maintaining it. And if it ends up they want to fight about it, hand over the whole list of what CRMC wants to be done with that piece of property. And I don't think they're going to be, on board with, putting barriers up and blocking it off and trying to get vegetation to grow where it's never, ever grown before.
That people might be good for the one around there for the corner.
Oh, yeah.
That might be good for your TV.
I think I know the answer to this question, but when Don comes back, I want to know if he ever followed through with speaking with the solicitor. Oh, he's here now, so maybe he can hear me. Don, did you ever get to speak to the town solicitor about documenting ownership?
No, we didn't. I did reach out to Tony Texera and we seem to have not been able to connect to take that step.
I honestly think that is critically important to everything you're talking about.
In the event that he more than likely still has all the records from 25 years ago, but
He
in the
does.
event he doesn't, Lynn Brousseau does have a copy of them also.
I do believe he has them, but that's the whole point is there's no point of recreating something that's already been established.
I don't think that was ever established. I was there. There was more of the point with a bridge going over the creek. They really had no comment on this piece of land that we're talking about because we've always been using it. So that wasn't the issue then. We've been using it, so I don't know. It wasn't brought up. I know it was the bridge and all that because I was there. But that piece of land never came into any conflict at all.
And I don't think that what happened 20 or 30 years ago is really relevant because, we're in the present day. We've had 20 or 30 years of status quo. That's all good information to know, but I don't think I think we're going to find that going through what went on 20, 25, 30 years ago, whenever it was, I think we're gonna find that's not really relevant to where we're at today.
No, but it wasn't brought up then.
Again, you guys, I think potentially the easiest way to do this, and maybe TNC will play nice, is just asking them to grant us a release of ownership of the property. I mean, it doesn't gain them anything, and they might do it, you know, and then that would
No.
eliminate all your issues with CRMC and stuff like that.
I have a general question. Are we getting off the agenda? This is kind of, this
Okay.
particular item,
You
I
are.
think is on the agenda. We might want to either put it on for a future meeting or
Yes.
or something that I thought.
Before you do that, because I agree, do you have a plat and lot number just so that we can throw that out there?
Yes, it's the end of the beach, the east end of the beach is part of plat 35 lot. Wait a minute, it looks like lot 1-3. Nope, sorry, it's plat 35 lot 8-2.
Okay, and since this was not on your agenda, I agree, you should not be discussing it. It should go on a future agenda.
Thanks, Carol.
But again, it still is part of the Goose Wing ascent
Management
permit and
plan.
stuff like that, so it kind of is on the agenda.
The only thing that's really on the agenda is discussing whether or not you're going to submit.
Yeah.
Not the legalities or details about it. So you can't get too far into the discussion
Yeah.
of the
And again,
nitty gritty.
A lot of this stuff, especially with that grant that's been done and stuff like this, it has to be done sooner than later, because otherwise we're gonna have this stuff all backed up.
Well, I mean, the discussion and deciding whether or not you're going to submit is indeed on the agenda.
So I guess maybe the question we need to ask ourselves is it worthwhile to reach out to CRMC to let them know we have concerns about the restrictions they've placed on the buffer zone with this latest 10-year maintenance permit, just to open up a dialogue with them and get people talking?
I think, Donnie, you got the cart before the horse at this point in time, because they won't talk to us, because technically, as far as they're concerned, we don't own the property.
Right.
Well, but wait a minute, Jim. Wait a minute, though. They just issued us a permit. And part of that permit stipulates that we will do certain things and we won't do certain things in that buffer zone.
Yeah, and this
So
is
now
why,
we're responding to that for clarification and
Yep.
discussion. I don't think, like I said, they can't keep having it both ways. And, we don't own it when we want a permit, but then they flip it the other way when the situations turn. So
Yep.
I think we need to start a discussion there.
So I think we need you to start a discussion with CRMC to discuss the permit, but I think that I agree with Jim is that we have to somehow address TNC to clear up that misunderstanding.
Correct. That's still been an ongoing thing. Maybe what we should do for expediency is why don't we table this buffer zone management plan discussion with CRMC till the next meeting, because it doesn't sound like there's really much more we can talk about it tonight. So I would make that a motion that we table this until the next meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion. Michael Focarelli.
Okay, let's take it to a vote.
Patrick Kinane, aye.
Michael Focarelli, aye.
Don Maderas, aye.
Bill Ryan, aye.
All right. So the next agenda item is internal review and discussion of draft of Goose Wing Beach Management Plan submitted by TNC.
Yeah.
So this is just for people who may be listening in, this is the annual plan that they submit, that TNC submits to the Beach Commission regarding the management of Goose Wing and the Beach Commission's role and TNC's role. It has been revised. I don't know if the members, if anybody's read it, what their thoughts are. If there's anything in there that's of concern, or if there's things that are missing, or
Donnie, do you have
know-
the agreement 2 years ago?
I don't have it in front of me. No.
No, I don't either. I think that's one of the things we should look at before we even make a decision on this agreement. I think there's a few things that we have to go over on that. Unless somebody disagrees with me.
If you'd like, I could read the highlighted things that are changed over the last agreement.
That would be helpful, Jim.
Sure, although it starts off with, of course, 2021, and then Friday, May 28th, 2021 through Monday, September 6th, 2021, the dates of the agreement. The next line is the town and the Conservancy agreed to cooperate in all respects of the biological management of Goose Wing for the piping plovers, lease turns, and the property's overall ecological and wildlife habitat. The Conservancy will encourage recreational use of the property to the extent that such use does not jeopardize the goals of the biological management, which requires daily attention. And this part is highlighted, which requires daily attention during the nesting season, which extends from April 1st to September 1st next year. Then the next line, the next group, just listing a bunch of things. The only thing that is included in that is that drones are listed as another thing not to be allowed on Goose Wing. Then on the following page, under Beach Commission will operate the parking lot at South Shore under the current policy. Since the Conservancy management and the natural values of the beach require daily presence during nesting season, Conservancy personnel will be provided with one key to the gate and allowed to park 2 vehicles free of charge in an area designated by the Beach Commission. Prior notice and agreement of the Beach Commission may allow Conservancy personnel to designate volunteers to park with additional parking with no charge. Those are the only changes over the last one.
So, did we miss a piece of correspondence? The March 4th letter from Scott Cumming, the Nature Conservancy?
That was the cover letter, Mike, for this
Okay.
Goose management agreement.
Okay, sorry.
Yep.
So, in just as a point of discussion, the highlighted point of where the daily management of I would really like to discuss that with TNC and see whose responsibility it is to manage that part of the agreement. I think that we hold our part of the bargain doing what we do to manage the attendance at the beach and where people are. I think now, because of the extensive use of that piece of Goose Wing, I would like to negotiate with TNC to see whether or not they might provide some assistance managing the birds, and see if we can have that be part of the agreement, just to kind of just divide the responsibilities, or see what the responsibilities could be if TNC was participating in that daily presence.
I think that's a great idea, Mike, but they also should fork up money. Is that what you're?
I don't care that they fork up money. I just think that they need to, I think that they need to hire somebody. They need to fork up money to us. But yes, I think that they need to put some money into a ranger or a student or somebody that has some knowledge, a little bit of presence to be able to explain and really be an advocate for the birds. I think that is their mission. We are helping them with their mission, but that's their mission. Not that I have anything against the birds, but that's not really our mission, is the birds. You know, our mission is more recreational. So I don't, I'm not saying that the birds are not really important to me. They certainly are, but I don't like TNC grousing about what we're not doing for their birds. I mean, it's not their birds, but anyway, that's it's everybody's birds.
Again, one of the things that I did have a conversation with them at the end of last season. Did remind them a little bit that they did offer to help pay for the nighttime security detail down there, which we haven't seen anything out of. I mean,
Yeah.
$17,000, $18,000 expense. Those nighttime people had 140 something interactions with people with dogs going down onto Goose Wing. So again, we are helping them out with that sort of stuff. And I do think we should be reimbursed for helping them. I do like what Michael's saying about being able to explain to the public what's going on down there a little more. When their personnel come down, they immediately beeline it up to the educational center up there, and the regular people going down the beach never see them. Maybe having more of a presence at certain times of day where they're down there by the signs to talk to people, birds, and please help us out with maintaining this natural facility and stuff like that. Would be great.
So I would like to take Scott Cummings up on his offer to discuss the management agreement before we sign it, and really COVID once again rears its head to sort of uncover a lot of things. And one of the things that they uncovered is the way that the beach is used, how different it was having the locked gate, and what TNC can do, leveraging that to advocate for the birds. So I suggest that we arrange some kind of a meeting with. I don't know if that has to be a public meeting, Carol. It does.
If you have a quorum, yes, it does.
If we have a committee, does it?
Even if you have a committee.
I think you can do like me and one of the commissioners can do a meeting without.
If you don't have a quorum, so 2 or 1 committee members can meet with them, and you don't have to post. But once you get to 3 committee members or the full amount, then you have to post it as an open meeting.
So I'm wondering, it's Don Maderas, I'm wondering if we could roll that task into the subject of the last agenda item, which is deals with the town beaches resiliency and contingency plan. Select 2 members or less to do research and report back to the commission with recommendations on issues a potential future subcommittee should focus on. It sounds like that could be one of the tasks. If we can select 2 members or less to go forth, do research and bring back information, that could be one of the tasks for that 2-member task force, so to speak, or whatever you want to call it.
So Jim, since Jim is not a committee member, he can meet with anybody.
Mhm. Yes.
That's correct. I think Jim would be, as beach manager, I think we would want him, if we do select 2 members, that we would also want Jim to participate because of his knowledge, and he's the guy in the trenches down there. So he should be consulted and commenting on pretty much anything we consider for his input.
I think that's a great idea.
So because he's not here, I would nominate Joe to be one of
Yeah.
the.
Nominate Joe.
I'll second that. Harris.
And I would also nominate Donnie to work on this team. So I
Well,
think
just make it clear, it's not a subcommittee, it's not a team.
it's not.
Just You're assigning a task to a committee member.
So I would make a motion that we assign Don Maderas of Able Engineering and other parts east, and Joe Mayata to and Jim to meet with TNC and feel out an agreement before we sign the management agreement.
I'll second that. Do we have a vote?
Patrick Kinane, aye.
Michael Focarelli, aye.
On Maderas, aye.
Bill Ryan, aye. Motion carries.
All right, so let's see. So the next item on the agenda is the MRP grant. Carol, what did the town get in total from that? I know it's allocated to various projects.
You would ask me, I don't know.
I think it was like 165,000 or something.
Yeah, I think so, but I didn't want to say it and be wrong.
Yeah.
All right, and a chunk of that money was earmarked for the beach, which was one of the projects.
Right,
That was
there are
involved.
3 projects.
Is John
Okay.
Road, the beach, and
Townway, I think. Right.
Townwide John Dyer and the beach. Yeah.
I think just we should send a letter to the council thanking Bob and Tony and especially Larry for all the hard work that they put into that, writing that grant and facilitating it and everything. They spent a lot of time on it and obviously it paid off. I think they should be recognized for their hard work on that one. So it'd be nice, just a little letter of appreciation from the commission.
I agree.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Patrick Kinane, aye.
Michael Focarelli, aye.
Don Maderas, aye.
Bill Ryan, aye. Now, who's gonna write it?
Good question. Who wants to write that one?
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
I'll write it and send it to you, Cindy, and you can send it out.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
So then the last item is the very last item we already touched upon, which was when we selected myself and Joe and assigned a task to meet with TNC. But as part of that agenda item, there are other aspects to the task, which is not target specific, like meet with TNC about the management agreement, but basically, look, we're talking about a town beaches resiliency and contingency plan to look into getting some data that we can bring back to the commission to start looking at how we can start planning for the future, to account for sea level rise and erosion and to see if we
I'm
can
gonna have a glass of milk and I still have 216
still be in
calories.
good shape. So is that, are we in agreement, or do we understand, or do we need to vote that that's part of that last agenda item? Or does anybody think it shouldn't be, or?
Should be clear. You should do it.
Yeah.
Good. So the last item on the agenda then is discuss development of a beach commission mission statement. I put that one in. I think that's important. I think it sounds kind of corny, but I think it's pretty important that we see if we can, in, maybe 4 sentences or less, put out a little mission statement. If it's a good thing to think about, it helps us review our own goals, I guess, and see if we're all on the same page. If we can't write a 4-sentence mission statement, then I guess we're not really joined on our mission to begin with. So Mike had, I asked Mike to just pen down a few thoughts, which he did. It was emailed out to everybody. Does anybody have any buzzwords that they think, or buzz phrases that should go in our mission statement? I think this is something we're gonna work on. It's not gonna be done in one night, but I'd like to see if we can get people putting in buzzwords that they think are important to them. For example, promote the safe and proper use of the beach and protect and preserve it for future generations. And I said the beach, but I should have said the beaches. I meant to say the beaches. Does anybody have any things that they think, or any language that, I don't think we should just be going forth knowing ourselves that we know the job that we're trying to do. I think we need to, I think it's important. Like I said, it sounds corny, but I really think it's an important thing to do.
So I had lifted that first part from the 1939 enabling legislation, which I thought was appropriate to make suitable provisions for the care, management, maintenance, protection, and improvement of said beaches and commons, and for the proper policing of the beaches. So that's directly from the 1939 enabling legislation. I think that still applies, although policing may be misunderstood. In this context, it may mean something else to people. And then one of the things that I added to that, and this is something that Donnie always talks about, is to, and particularly in light of our little kerfuffle with TNC, is to safeguard the rights and ownership of the town properties for the benefit of all Little Compton residents by maintaining properties and best enabling use of these properties for the townspeople and their guests, maintaining as best possible character and spirit with which they were acquired. Anyway, that was my thought. I thought that safeguarding the ownership, the rights of the townspeople to those properties was quite important to include in the mission.
I agree. Yeah, I think that was pretty good, Mike, what you came up with there. Maybe we can kick it around and massage it a little more, but I think you did an excellent job with what you've got so far.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, Mike.
So maybe since we're at this point, maybe we can just put that on the next agenda, just we can think a little bit more about it, and maybe, after a meeting or two, we can maybe hopefully come up with something that we're all happy with, and we can post it on the website, stamp it on our foreheads, and go forth.
I agree with that. Does anybody want to make a motion that we'll put that on the agenda for next time?
Don Maderas, I'll make that motion.
Patrick Ganane second. Oh, sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead, Patrick.
Patrick second.
Okay, let's take it to a vote.
Patrick Ganane, aye.
Michael Focarelli, aye.
Don Maderas, aye.
Bill Ryan, aye.
That is the last item on the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have any more questions, or Jim, do you have any more for us?
Not at this point in time. We did, I know the original had operational procedures, but basically everything that we put out is still in place.
Okay,
So we won't be doing any changes to operational procedures till we get governor's office and that sort of stuff, giving us some guidelines. But right now, everything that we had last summer should still be in place till
Okay,
we hear things.
so we hear different.
Carol, are we still under emergency orders?
Yes, yes.
Well, okay, does anybody have any more questions? Anybody from the audience?
I don't see any raised hands.
Next meeting is April 13th.
April 13th. And I have a question for everybody, but I think probably it first should go to Carol. And that is there any chance at some point in the future, Carol, we'd be able to do these meetings in person again at town hall?
Let me put it to you this way. We're still under the emergency order. That requires Zoom to be done. In order to do Zoom and to be in person, you need to have a large monitor there that everyone that is in person can see who's signed in by Zoom. And then those people are supposed to be able to see every member that is there in hybrid. We're not really set up for that.
No, it doesn't.
As you know, when we did it, it was just the one camera and only a few people were actually able to be
Yep.
seen. So we're not compliant when you try to do that.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you.
Until they relieve those requirements, which honestly, I know they're trying to put it through the legislature right now to get that to become something permanent. So eventually, I'm afraid we're gonna have to invest in different types of equipment for the town hall so that people
Wow.
can do hybrid meetings.
Carol, are you saying that they're going to try to put it through the legislature that the current Zoom protocol would continue?
On some level, yes, they are. They're asking for electronic means to become something permanent.
You're going to have to clone yourself, Carol.
I just might have to retire.
Don't do that. Don't be
That
that.
was a good one.
Yeah, no, so time will tell, but right now, your safest bet is to stay like this.
Okay.
Okay.
I miss the meetings in person. It's just a lot more fun and personable when
It
everybody's the same.
is, but yeah,
The best
I
we
get
can do. Yep.
Okay, you're cutting into ice cream time.
all right.
Does anybody want to make a motion that we end the meeting at this time?
Don Maderas, motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Patrick Kenane, second.
All in favor?
Patrick Kenane, aye.
Don
Mike, you're
Maderas,
usually second.
Where's Mike?
Michael Focarelli, aye.
Now
Don
Don.
Maderas?
aye.
He said aye. Bill Ryan, aye.
Boy, that was the hardest one ever. All right, thank you all.
All right. Good night, guys.
Anya Wallach is gonna send you a copy of the approved application for the municipal resiliency. Or actually, she's gonna send it to me and I'll send it to you. Okay?
Oh, great. Thank you.
Right.